That's bad.
I am constantly getting accused of being original, so I think it's time we recycle someone else's ideas and reimagine them as my own. Now, to me, the foundation of hot rodding is the budget build, which is kind of a cliche nowadays, but there's a reason it got there. Everyone loves a down and dirty budget build hot rod. And nothing, I think, encompasses that more than the Cheap Thrills Dart. I'm sure most of you guys already know where I'm going with this. The Cheap Thrills Dart, for anyone who may not have heard the legend, the scary ghost stories told around the campfire of hose clamp transmission mounts, was a project car that Hot Rod Magazine did, I think, in 1994. It was a 1968 Dodge Dart put together by then staffer and now internet deity David Freiberger. And the whole concept behind it was to go as fast as you can for as cheap as you can. Now, in 1984, Hot Rod did a similar thing where they went 13s for $3,500. I think it was $3,500, might have been $3,700. And a decade later, they were determined they could do it even better. So with the goal of being fast and cheap, what did they accomplish? Well, they went a blistering 1260s at 107 mile an hour, which sounds really slow by today's standards, but that was in 1994. And it sounds even more impressive when you hear that they did it for $1,886.92. Less than $2,000. I think we can all agree that's pretty impressive. But that's back in 1994's money. You can't buy complete running 340 Dusters for $250 anymore like they did. So I figured it would be fair if we leveled the playing field a little bit and we calculated for inflation 28 years later. In today's money, that $1,886.92 comes out to $3,779.03, which to me sounds like a lot until I started adding things up, because they accounted for everything. Oil, plug, hoses, everything. So what I want to do is copy that challenge bar for bar. And sure, I could have just scoured Marketplace and found like a beat up 4th gen for less than $2,000, sprayed a 300 shot to it, challenge complete. But where's the fun in that? Let's build something. So if I didn't make myself clear, our goal is to run the same ET 1260s for the same monetary value. Their $1,900 in '94 is about $3,800 in 2022. And I want to do it in the same spirit that they did. So I'm going to account for everything. Even the used parts that I had on the shelf, we're going to add a fair market value to them. Or if I actually bought them used, we're going to use that value. Some of the stuff I got from buddies, they gave it to me, but we'll throw value on those so that it's fair. But I think the biggest downside is I'm deciding to do this in late November in Michigan. So there's like 2 inches of snow on the ground right now. So I don't know when we'll be able to get a payoff as far as running the vehicle, but we're at least going to have fun with the build and see what we can come up with. So one thing I do want to throw in is on the Cheap Thrills Dart, like that 340 Duster that I mentioned. They paid $250 for that because they wanted the rear end out of it, and then they sold the drivetrain for $700, so they kind of factored that in. We're gonna do the same thing. Like some of the stuff that I come up with, if we can buy it for one thing and then sell other stuff off of it, that's gonna come off the budget. You see what I'm saying? So we're gonna do it in the same spirit that they did. Now that I've explained the idea and the goal, we need to find a good vehicle to start with. So the 55, that's gonna be way too heavy, and you're not gonna find those in any sort of what I would call reasonable budget. And the Cobra has a turbo kit that basically costs the entire budget. And Jack is already built. So I have been looking around like crazy the last few weeks because I've had this idea in my mind and I thought it could be fun. And I was trying to find something obviously very affordable, something very light. Obviously, the lighter it is, the easier it is to go fast with less. And has a really good aftermarket support. That just means parts are cheaper and more readily available. And that is exactly where this comes in. There she is. Look at it. It is beautiful. Here it is, guys. This is Project Dime a Dozen. Let's get it unloaded, get it in the garage. This is a 1986 Chevy S10. And boy, is it packing some goodies that make it absolutely perfect for this. Now, first off, this is a budget build, so let's talk about the cost. This was on Marketplace for at least a few weeks for $1,500, which I know what you're saying. Josh, that's 40% of your budget. What are you doing? Well, hold on. Don't fret, because I didn't pay $1,500 for this. I traded a little bit of labor to knock the price down. I put a engine and transmission in his Suburban, and we ended up getting the truck for $1,000, which still, to me, sounds like a lot until you start looking at the truck. This thing has absolutely zero rust. First off, it's a Kentucky truck. The title's still a Kentucky title, and it has some great goodies in this thing. First off, it's the stripper model, so there's power nothing. Manual locks, manual windows, manual steering, manual brakes, and I'm sure some of you guys already noticed, it came with these wheels and tires. We already have slicks. If we had to buy those new, that's $500. Like I said, manual steering. It used to have a small block Chevy and a turbo 350 in it. We still have the trans mount and we still have the drive shaft. Huge win. There you can see the manual brakes, manual steering. So that saves us weight there. I know that all of you guys have watched Street Racing Channel, so you know how competitive these trucks can be and how quick they can be for cheap. And it has a topper. The guy I got this truck from said that he had people offering him $400 for the topper and $300 for the bench seat in this thing. So if we started to kind of run tight on our budget later on, we could sell those to get some room back. Personally, I would rather leave it on. I think it makes the truck look that much cooler. We got an old school Grant steering wheel, Sun Pro tack. Yeah, there's the drive shaft. It's got an extra fender, the inner fenders. There's the door panel in there. This thing is perfect for what we're trying to do. Honestly, the worst part on the entire body is the bedside right here, where when they were unloading it off the trailer or something, it caught something and just kind of caved it in a little bit, but that could be pulled out easy enough. But for what we're trying to do, I think this thing could not be more perfect. This is absolutely amazing. I mean, 15 by 10s in the back. I have no idea what wheels these are, but I mean, they're great. So the 355 out of the mid-engine S10 is what I was going to use in this, and we were just going to throw it together. It already has the headers in here, but obviously when the cam gear fell off that thing and it put the valve in every piston, that motor still could have easily been fixed, I think. I think just new heads and new timing set and that motor would have been fine. But even if I did just go and find some $100 heads on Marketplace and a used timing set, that 355, I think, being generous, would have made, 280 horsepower. It was basically a stock bottom end, obviously 30 over, with claimer style pistons and a cam and an intake. There was literally nothing special about it, and it wasn't going to make very much power. And I looked up a bunch of videos of stock S10s with 350s in them, what they were running. They were all like 13s to 14s. Obviously, there's some exceptions to that, but for what I thought was going to be a very comparable setup, it was like, let's say, 1350s, 1360s. So that made me think, let's try to find a different power plant for this thing that will help us reach our goals that little bit easier. And to do that, we came to Regal Auto Parts in Howell, Michigan. Come pick up our new race motor for the truck. All right, this is it, huh? It's one of them 1,000 horsepower junkyard motors. Oh, it should be fun as hell in that truck. All right, so we are all loaded up, strapped down, and ready to head back to the shop. Again, if you guys need anything, not even just LS stuff, they got a bunch of Ford stuff, Dodge stuff, import stuff. Come check out the guys at Regal Auto Parts, Howell, Michigan. So this is our new 6-liter out of a 2005 Yukon, I think. And this is what's going to motivate our truck into the 12s. Now, bone stock 6.0s make like 340 horsepower or something at the crank. We're not going to leave it bone stock. We'll get into that more in the next video, I think, where we start tearing into the motor and putting it together. So I know the question on everybody's mind, how much did this cost? From Regal, just like I got it, a Gen 3 6.0, they're basically giving them away at $1,200. I thought that was a really good deal for a 6.0. On Marketplace, you see people asking $2,500 for them. So we are now at $2,200 into our $3,700 budget build. So it is definitely going to be tight, but I think I can do it, and I hope you guys come along for the ride. This is Project Dime a Dozen, and we are trying to keep the spirit of hot rodding alive. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and stick around for the ones coming up on this old turd here. And that's going to do it for today's video. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you for subscribing, clicking that bell, and clicking on the links in the description. And I will see you guys next time.